The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
The following program contains mature content. Any opinions expressed are those solely of the host and any guests. Listener discretion strongly advised.
And welcome back, one and all. Welcome back, my friends, to another installment, episode, as it were, of Weiss Thoughts. Each episode of Weiss Thoughts is a virtual campfire sit-down and a step inside my mind. You'll never know what you'll hear. And hey, if you like Weiss Thoughts, go to the website, weissthoughts.com. Just make sure you spell my name right, W-Y-C-E. weissthoughts.com. For all your Weiss Thoughts goodness, it's right there waiting for you. And this episode of Weiss Thoughts, you've got one life. Live it. That's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Weiss Thoughts. It's all coming up in just a minute. So grab your favorite beverage, pull up a seat around our virtual campfire, and get ready for Weiss Thoughts. It all begins right after this. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. And if you want to get in contact with us, there's many ways. You can go to facebook.com/Weiss Thoughts. You can also check out my YouTube channel. Just search for Weiss Thoughts on youtube.com. And if you want to tweet at me on Twitter, it's @TerryWeiss. Or you can email me directly at weissthoughts@purplepitstudios.com. Thanks for listening to the show. Now, let's get back to the program. Ah, yes. Welcome, welcome one and all to another episode of Weiss Thoughts. So glad you're here. And hey, do us a favor, too. If you're enjoying Weiss Thoughts, would you leave us a positive rating review on the website at weissthoughts.com or on your favorite podcast provider? We would truly appreciate that. That's right. We'd be ever so happy and overjoyed. So, weissthoughts.com, the website. All right, we plugged that enough. So, how you doing out there? How is everybody? All right. Been doing pretty good the last week? Staying out of trouble? So, on this episode of Weiss Thoughts, the episode's titled, You Have One Life, Live It. And not livid, I mean live it, okay? You have one life, live it. You deserve to live it. You need to live it. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Weiss Thoughts. What else is going on before we get to that here in just a bit? Mr. Producer Extraordinaire, how are you? How are you doing? Good? Fantastic. All right. Family's healthy. You're healthy. You know, it's amazing, in the northeastern half of the United States here, we're in the midst of winter. And, they tried to scare us with, oh, my God, everybody's dropping dead of the flu this year. Oh, my God. Kind of that story when that didn't take traction and take hold. Now, a lot of people were hacking and coughing and, barfing, crapping, puking, whatever. But you know what? You get that every winter, my friends, every winter. And how about the 19 virus? That's what I'm going to call it to try and, sidestep the censors here. We're going to call it the 19 virus. Not such a big thing anymore, huh? But boy, there's sure a lot of information now coming out from the CDC about potential stroke risks with taking the 19 vaccine. and the gene stew, as I like to call it. Interesting. Stroke risk, heart attack risk, brain bleeding, all this other kind of stuff that some folks, not all, but some folks had a adverse reaction to the gene juice they were injected with. And I was telling my wife, because more of this is becoming prominent in the news, and the other day they just had a story, that they came across, CDC is still investigating stroke risk from people who took the gene juice shot. And I told her, I said, didn't I say this way back in 2020, towards the end of 2020, when we knew that a lot of this was bullshit. A lot of this was either a psyop or mind control or governmental overreaching, just trying to control people. And Big Pharma was filling their pockets with cash, courtesy of the government, for all these gene juice doses. I told my wife, and I will paraphrase, you watch a year or two after this all starts calming down, you're going to see a lot of stuff that they're burying and suppressing come to light, and it's going to get out, and people are really going to finally maybe wake up and stop being sheeple. But there's still some of you knuckleheads out there that, buy into all the fantasy propaganda. But hey, man, this is America. If you want to buy into fantasy propaganda, who am I to stop you? I mean, put a bag over your head, cut out an air hole and walk around in a full body suit and whatever, or either that, or some of you still won't leave your friggin' house, which is a shame because I've been going to and fro. I'm still here. I didn't get the gene juice, and, knock on wood, I'm still alive and kicking. So, we'll see what becomes of it, but more and more things coming to light about the gene juice doses from all manufacturers, not just Pfizer and the like, but all of them that threw this out there. And we're learning more and more how we've been hoodwinked and flamboozled once again by Big Pharma. Now, I'm not to say that all Big Pharma is bad and all medication is bad. So don't, some of you have sent me emails and saying, oh, you're an anti-vaxxer, you're this, you're that, you just don't believe, you're just running around looking for conspiracy theories. No, I'm a realist, my friends. I've said this many a time on a show. If it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, fuck it. It's a duck, man. And have I been wrong? Hell yes. Hell yes, I've been wrong. On many an occasion, I have been wrong. But you know what? I'm adult enough to admit, hey, I was wrong. I had poor information. I maybe got hoodwinked by some misinformation, or just overall, I had a wrong opinion on something, and it can change. That's part of being a human being. We're not perfect. None of us are perfect. But I live my life by the motto of trying to use deductive reasoning, independent critical thinking, not hive cult mind thinking, and good old-fashioned common sense, folks. And speaking of how I live my life, let's get into today's episode for you, okay? Today's episode is brought to you by Common Sense and Well-Being. Yes, you can have common sense and well-being if you just follow these parameters that we're about to lay out. Again, it's your life. Live it! Exclamation point. Now, you say, Terry, what do you mean it's your life? Live it. What are you talking about? Well, I shall digress. Folks, we're here for a finite amount of time. In the big concept of the universe, or time as it were, that's your life. Birth to death. Ready? Here's your life. Boom, gone. It's just like a match going out, blowing out a match. And that's if you live to maybe be 80 or 90. Now, I know when I was younger, okay, and I became self-aware of my mortality, which I think happened when I was around 8 or 9 years old almost. I can kind of remember the moment when I became self-aware of my own mortality. I think it was 1975. So I might have been around 8 or 9, 10 years old, somewhere in there. 10 years old, maybe? 10, 9? Anyhow. I was lying in bed. I can remember this moment like it was yesterday when I became self-aware of my own mortality. I was a youngster, and I lay there and I thought, my God, I'm going to die someday. And then I got really depressed, sad, to the point I was crying. And my mother comes in my room and says, what is the matter with you? What's wrong? Are you sick? Or no. Well, what's the matter with you, Terry? Mama, I'm going to die someday. And she's like, what? I said, I'm going to die someday. I don't want to die. And she's like, oh, you're being silly. You know, mothers, they try to comfort you the best they know. You're being silly, blah, blah, blah. And I started calculating in my mind, you know, after she calmed me down, but I still was thinking on this, and I started calculating in my mind, you know, at what year I would be 30. What year would it be when I turned 50? What year would it be when I turned 60? And I drifted off to sleep, and I don't recall what dreams I had that night, but I just recalled that was like an epiphany moment, early on, a preview of the epiphany moments that would probably at times forever change my life. Because let's face it, when we're young, we all think, oh, I'm going to live forever. There's no, for most of us, for the most part, no sense of dire consequence that, I'm going to croak someday, or, you know, things like that. We think we're indestructible. We think we're going to live forever. But at that moment, when I realized about my own mortality, it shook me. I have to admit, it shook me to my core. And I must admit, to this day, at times, I'll reflect back, and I'll reflect too that, hey, man, I'm not here forever. None of us are. You know what they say about life? No one gets out alive. Now, some of us have more time on this earth than others. Those are just facts. I've had some childhood friends that when I was growing up that didn't make it. One of them was killed at 13 years old, hit by a drunk driver. And that was another, kind of a traumatic moment in my life, that facing death, because when you're young and you have older grandparents or aunts or uncles or old people or great aunts and great grandparents that pass away, you don't think about it. You're drugged to the funeral home and staring at, a dead body. That was the process back then. It's not so much anymore, but for the most part back then, the process was you went to a funeral home, you had a 2 or 3 day showing or 2 day showing at the funeral parlor. Then you had a memorial or an actual funeral. Okay. And, it can be traumatic on kids. I mean, you don't know what the hell's going on per se. Your mind's trying, most children are just trying to, hey, we're just going someplace. We got to stare at somebody in a box, kind of thing. But again, I think having that epiphany moment when I was so young affect me in such a way helped shape some of the attitudes as I gained in years. And some of those attributes people don't like. And one is, at times, folks, this is my life. And you have to, not you have to, who am I to preach? I'm not a preacher up here saying, oh, no. You have to live life. And now by live life, I don't mean hurt people, be a callous bastard or a stone cold bitch. But you have to have a healthy enough opinion of yourself, healthy self-esteem to realize, listen, you don't got time for fools and folly, okay? You don't need to suffer fools. You don't need to suffer in situations in your life. If you're in a bad friendship, relationship, what have you, and it's not salvageable, and you've done what you can, you've played a part, you played your role, you're willing to do certain things to try and keep that relationship going, or, to see if it can be salvaged, and if the other party involved is not willing to, get the fuck out. Why waste your time? Okay? Same thing in your career. And boy, I've had a lot of experience with good and bad employers. And I've said this on other episodes of Weiss Thoughts. You can search for episodes on Weiss Thoughts at weissthoughts.com or on your favorite podcast provider. On past episodes of this program here, I have said, if you were to die tomorrow, your job would replace you, in some cases within 72 hours, but up to a week, you'd be replaced, just like that. You'd be maybe talked about for a few days and then forgotten. I'm telling you, then forgot. That's it. You're gone. All right, move on. And that's just a callous attitude, unfortunately, that is in corporate America and many employers. That being said, with regards to your job, and again, you have one life, live it. Do not let a job, do not let a place you go to work become your life. And there's a lot of you out there. I'm talking to you people, you work, air quotes, workaholics. You're foolish. You're being absolutely foolish. You're wasting your life to an entity ultimately that doesn't give two shits about you. Now, I know some of you out there are going to be taken aback and say, well, Terry, some people love their careers, love what they do, and, they're earning a paycheck, they're buying that house, buying that car, stuffing that bank account, dressing, don't have to worry about paying bills because they're making such a substantial salary. Well, I don't know why I'm talking like that, but anyway, that's my resting bitch face voice. Making such a salary that they can be independently self-sufficient. Great. Who cares? I have known many people, my friends, in my life here on this planet, my half a century or more. I have known many individuals that have uttered many a regret at the end of their working careers that, man, I wish I would have spent more time with my family, or I lost my family because I was a workaholic, or I was a workaholic working, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and, I did it for 20 years, and now I got cancer, and I got heart disease, and I'm 120 pounds overweight, and I'm spending all the money I made trying to prolong my life, or save my life in some cases, or extend my life. You get where I'm going, folks, with the trade-off on this? And it's not that I'm anti-corporate. I'm anti-corporate evil, anti-evil corporate, okay? The corporate monsters out there, which a lot of corporations are. It's just its own entity. All it cares about is ringing the fucking cash register, and you are just a stepping stone on the way to that. That's my opinion. You are welcome, obviously, to disagree with it. But many corporations, for me, my job, I will humbly say it and respectfully say, you're just a means to my end. And when you don't fit the means to my end anymore, fuck you, I'm gone. Okay, that's just the way I feel. I've worked for corporations that have been decent, but most of them have been pretty shitty. They really have. I mean, to be quite candid here, I mean, I don't bullshit you people on this show. Where would this show be if I was to bullshit you? What do I have to gain by, lying to you, And most of the corporations I've worked for throughout my life have been shitty. They've been awful. I liken them to an abusive relationship. They lure you in, that psycho woman or psycho man we all may have dated in our life, that psycho spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend. They lure you in with, oh, I'm so good, and oh yeah, we're going to help you. We're here to coach you, and we have an encouraging atmosphere, and we're all about an open door policy, and oh, everyone loves working here. And you walk around and everybody's got that, that Westworld robotic look on their face, like, we are happy, we love being here, I love my job, kind of thing. And if you take that position, thinking that, hey, all right, you're sold a bill of goods in some cases at corporations. And once you get in, and it's like being in a new relationship. The first 6 months or a year might be great. Then the real person or the real corporation atmosphere comes out. And it's like, Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, then you're like, holy shit, what did I do to my life, right? And I've been lured into that trap as well, my friends. And not to say there's shitty employees either. There are, but, I have a real sour taste in my mouth for most corporations. So getting back to the theme of the episode here today is, you got one life, live it, man. Don't feel you're chained, okay, to a job, to a field, to an industry, to a profession. You've got to do what makes you happy. You have to. Otherwise, my God, you're just going to... You're going to look back on your life and go, what the hell did I do? So, I mean, I don't want to see that happen to anybody. I really don't. So we're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to continue on with our discussion of You Have One Life. Live it on Weiss Thoughts. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Wearing his sunglasses indoors just because he wants to. Let's get back to the program. Here's your host, Terry Weiss.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome to Weiss Thoughts. I'm your humbled host, Terry Weiss. And today on the program, we're talking about, hey, you have one life. Live it. And before we went to the break, we were talking about a couple instances about how I became self-aware that, our life is finite, man. We're all going to croak someday. And then we meandered into my feelings on, people wasting their lives at a job or being beholden to a job because they feel that, it's going to affect them and, they're not going to be able to live, so they sacrifice their dreams working at a job they might really friggin' hate. And I gave you some of my thoughts on, my experience with corporations, both mid-size and large corporations thus far in my life, and give you my thoughts on that. But hey, welcome back to the program. Welcome to Weiss Thoughts. We're so glad you're here. And again, if you like the program, please like, subscribe, share us with your friends, give us a great review rating if you could on your podcast provider. And head on over to the website at weissthoughts.com. Visit the YouTube channel. Just search for Weiss Thoughts on YouTube as well. And you can tweet at me on Twitter. I don't know if I mentioned that today already, but it's at Terry Weiss, W-Y-C-E. Well, just make sure you guys spell my name right, because I've had my name spelled like W-I-Z-E, W-Y-Z-E, W-I-S-E, W-I-C-C-E. It's Terry Weiss, W-Y-C-E. All right. So there we go. So, hey, again, welcome back. So glad you're here gathering with us around the virtual campfires. We talk about it's your life, live it, and definitely have to do that. So just want to let you know that just beyond the scope of a job, beyond the scope of a job, what has to happen is you have to realize, again, your own mortality. What are you willing to settle for in your life? Now, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to open up here with you a little bit and let you know, and, some podcasters, some shows, you only get this sometimes on big shows, or maybe you get this from a celebrity. Not that I'm a celebrity. I'm not comparing myself to anybody, but I'm just saying, I'm going to open up with you a little bit. I've given up on some of my dreams in life, and some of them do haunt me. How about you? Have you, and I'm not talking about the dream when you're 5 years old and you want to be an astronaut, okay? I'm talking about dreams you had once you became, again, self-aware. And when I say self-aware, I mean when your conscious was able to realize, hey, I have independent thought now. I have choice. I want to, maybe grow up and be a movie star. I want to grow up and be a musician. I want to grow up and I want to be a policeman, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to be an advertising. I'd like to, work in movies or what have you. That's what I mean. So, that being said, I've had a couple of dreams that I have given up on. One of them was, I wanted to be like a talk show host on a major network. Now, early in my career, earlier in my years, like when I was around 10, 12, me and my sister used to do this thing. We called it show. We played show. My sister's 3 years younger than me. We had a record player, and we had, remember those little tape recorders, those big ones where you would press play and record, the big cassette players, and you can record onto them? My parents got me one. Back in the day, I think they were like $20 or something, which, back in the 70s, the early 70s and stuff like that, that was big. That was pretty big money. I would probably, if you converted that to today's dollars, maybe around $80 to $100 if you converted it to today dollars, okay? And me and my sister would do this thing called show. We had this little record player that, had a speaker, and we would take and play music up there, and then we would pull it away, and I would say, hi, I'm blah, 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 and today on the show we have Miss So-and-so, and we're going to talk about this, that, and we made like our own talk show. And this is what really, in my early formative years, I enjoyed doing. When I grew up in the, when I was younger in the late 60s and early 70s, there was a lot of talk radio out there. There was AM radio was in its boom. FM radio was really starting to become popular as well. FM radio was mostly delegated towards music at that time in history, and AM radio was your top 40 adult contemporary stuff. And you had a lot of talk shows on there. Talk shows. I'm going to give you a big name, Larry King. All right, Larry King was the king of late night talk radio. Who later went on to CNN, so on and so forth. And it just talk radio, my local stations in town and everything really got me hooked. And I really enjoyed it. And I thought, man, I'd like to be a disc jockey, man. I'd love to work in radio. And I got the bug, I got the fever. And I started doing it in my junior high and then in high school. And eventually I did go to college for it. Now, when I was in college and when I graduated high school and started my first year or two of college, I went for broadcast communications at a state university here where I live, and I started doing what they call the DJ circuit. I call it affectionately the DJ circuit. And what that was I was spinning records in bars and taverns and pubs, and I was also working for music roadshow companies. Now, for those of you who might not know what those are, back in the day when you had a wedding and stuff, you had what's called a mobile DJ. And they would bring their big stacks of records, or the company would supply stacks of records, and then you'd had a couple turntables, a big old mixing board set up on this big table, almost like a buffet table, and then you would have these huge speakers and underneath the amps and everything. Back in the day when equipment was heavy as shit. But did a lot of weddings, got paid very well to do that. I mean, on a weekend, doing a wedding on a Friday and Saturday night, I mean, I could clear, $300-$400 just for 2 days work. Now, again, back in the day, all right, we're talking the 1980s or so, when I was late 70s and 80s, coming of age, early 80s, doing music road shows and stuff. That was big money. That was making, if let's say 2 days work, $400, in most cases cash, but I did claim it, IRS. If you're listening, I did claim it on my 1099s. Okay. That was like making $1,000 to work a couple days. And that was big money back then. All right. Plus I got paid to work in clubs and bars. You would go in at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night and be there till, well, in my part of the country, the pubs, the nightclubs are open till 4 a.m. All right. And I would get paid anywhere from $80 to $150 a night to do that. Okay. As well. Plus free drinks and food when you were working and such, and do that a couple of days a week. I enjoyed doing that. Now, while I was in college too, in my second year of college, I got a chance to intern at a local big FM radio station here in town and started doing market research. They called it market research. What market research meant in the radio biz is you basically get this big old list of pre-printed paper back in the day, and you would call up people and just ask to do a survey. It was like telemarketing, but you weren't selling them anything. It's like, hi, I'm Terry Weiss calling from, XYZ Radio. Just wondering if you have 5 minutes to answer 5 questions for us. Click. That's what you got a lot of click. Screw you, click. Why are you calling me? Click. You get some, I would say 60% of the people were kind enough to say, we're going to take less than 5 minutes of your time. I need you to answer 5 questions. Okay. What's your favorite FM radio station? And they would say, what's your favorite type of music? Boom. What's your favorite AM station? Boom. And how often do you listen to the radio during the week and at what times or something? I don't even recall the questions, but I'm just guessing what they might have been. And from there, though, I graduated into production and broadcast copywriting at the station there while I was, they moved me up. And what I would do is the sales representatives of the station would bring in accounts like, PJ's Motors. And they say, hey, Terry, we need a 30-second spot for PJ Motors. And here's the points. We want you to write a 30-second spot. Now, a 30-second commercial, okay? So I had to do that. I was good at that. Then they said, you know what? We like your voice. Why don't you go in there and record it? Put a music bed down, and if you need sound effects, just do us a couple demos. Let's see what you got. So I did that. They like that. So I graduated to not only writing broadcast copywriting, but also doing some production work in the studio back in the day. Now, back in the day, the production work was done on reel-to-reel tape, and you actually cut it. And it's not digital, guys, like it is today. It was all hard work, like you see in those documentaries from the 70s and the 80s where, you splice the tape and do this and boom, boom, or you retake it or you overdub it. Whoa, we are living in such a great time right now with digital mixing and digital overdubbing and the ability to alter our voice and all this kind of good stuff that we had to really kind of find our own way and think out of the box back in the day. Now, from that, I went to a fill-in disc jockey, mostly nights and overnights. And at that point, I said, you know what? Screw college. I'm already working in the industry I love. They're going to offer me a job and pay me, $6.75 an hour, which back in the day was a lot of money because minimum wage was about $3.25. Okay? So I was making almost double minimum wage, doing what I loved, and I said, why the hell not? Here's where the rub comes in. Because sometimes every silver lining has a dark storm cloud waiting. Sometimes, not all the time. In order to do that and to be a successful disc jockey back in the day, you had to kind of be willing to move at least 10 to 15 times in 3 years. Because what I found out was you could lose your job in a nanosecond. And not doing anything wrong. They just come in and say, we got a new format. We're going country. We don't think you're a good country fit. Here's 2 weeks severance. Here's 1 week severance. Here's no severance. This was your last shift. Get the fuck out, kind of thing. And I was young at the time. I had a committed relationship, etc., and I didn't want to do that. So I just kind of fell by the wayside and decided, I went from that to a board operator. A board operator in the broadcast industry is just somebody that pushes buttons up and down commercials, runs automated parts of the station. And then I got a job in retail because the board op job wasn't really paying enough. And I got a day job in retail that started paying a lot with commissions, and I was making 10 times what I was making in radio, and I left radio. Regret. Maybe thinking back, hindsight, they say, is 20/20. Maybe I should have, given it more of an opportunity, maybe. Something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know, Only time would have told, I guess, on that. But it's just one of those things that, I have regrets. And the long roundabout point I'm trying to make here is that you have to decide how much passion, how much you love your dream. What are you willing to sacrifice for your dream? We really have to think what's gonna go on for our dream. And I wish maybe I would have stuck with it. I really do. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's just a matter of, I guess, I don't know, wondering what is and what was, and it just it makes me sad. But I guess what I'm trying to relay to you is don't give up on your dreams because someone tells you you can't. Someone tells you that's a foolhardy effort. Because at the end of our lives and as we gain in years, should we be willing to live long enough, you don't want to really have all those regrets piling up, but we all make mistakes. But this is your life. You have to live it. Chase your dream, chase your passion. Of course, we can get sidetracked along the way. It happens to everyone. It's happened to me. I'm in an industry right now that while I enjoy the task I'm doing for my quote unquote air quotes here real day job, the management team at the organization I'm at is making it really hard to love the job. And I guess that's kind of a oxymoron statement. I mean, I love what I do. I enjoy what I do. I mean, it's a great gig. I don't have to travel far at all. The hours are stupendous. I mean, they're the best hours I've ever had because I'm an early riser anyway. I'm usually done by 3 p.m, and then the rest of the day is mine. I got a couple days in a row off. But the point and the struggle I'm having with is with the ineptitude of the management team running not only the department, but the organization where I work. And now before all you say, well, it's probably maybe Terry, maybe it's just you. If it's just me, it can be an opinion. If it's another person, it could be, a shared opinion. When it's 70% to 80% of the department and the workers in that department are all sharing the same information and heartfelt disgust for the way things are going, it's called a problem. So just to give you that. But again, getting back on focus, back on point here, you have to chase your dreams. You have to follow your heart. You really need to focus. And you got to remember, it's your life. You have to live it. Love unconditionally if you can. Be that friend, be that go-to person. And don't put up with bullshit, whether it's personal, professional, friends, family, lovers. Don't be a prick, all right? Don't be a jerk. Don't be a resting bitch face or an unconscionable prick. But have enough wherewithal to understand and know and value your self-worth. And if you do that, I think overall you're going to have a happy life. Just like I said, folks, we're just about out of time here, but remember, it's your life and live it. Hey, thanks for listening to the program today. I truly appreciate each and every one of you out there. And remember, to see a change in the world, you have to be the change in the world you want to see. It all starts with you, the person looking back at you in the mirror every morning. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. If you want to tweet at me on Twitter, it's at Terry Weiss. Stop by the website, weissthoughts.com, just to make sure you spell my name right, W-Y-C-E, weissthoughts.com. And hey, leave us a positive rating and review on your favorite podcast provider, won't you? Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets about Weiss Thoughts. And I look forward to gathering yet again around the virtual campfire with you real soon. Take care.